to escort Shri Ullas Kamath and Shri V. Leeladhar onto the dais. I would like to call upon Professor Madhukar to present the welcome address.
Vidya dhadati vinayam, vinayadhyati patratam, patra dhanam mapnoti, dhanadharmam tata sukham. Complete knowledge gives discipline. From discipline comes worthiness. From worthiness one gets wealth. From wealth one does good deeds. And from that comes joy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am privileged and humbled to take this opportunity to introduce the chief guest of the day, Shri Ullas Kamath. When I see this truly remarkable and outstanding profile, I recollect the famous quote of Mr. Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations. He said, "Knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family." Shri Kasaragod Ullas Kamath is the Joint Managing Director and CFO of Jyoti Laboratories. He is responsible for business development, new projects, sales, and financial management amongst other functions. He has over 26 experience in this industry. Mr. Kamath has been the driving force in transforming the company from a proprietary concern to a multi-brand FMCG corporate with key brands like Ujala, Maxo, Exo, Prill, Henko, Margo, Mr. White, Check, Neem, and Maya. Under his leadership, Jyoti Labs had successfully launched the IPO in 2007 and a QIP in 2011. He was instrumental in the acquisition of Henkel AG's India operations in 2011 and helped elevate Jyoti Labs to one of the top 10 FMCG brands in the country. The present market cap of Jyoti Labs is over 64.64 billion. Mr. Kamath has participated in Advanced Management Program at the Wharton School of Management in 2004, at Harvard Business School in 2008. He also spearheads Jyoti Laboratories' latest initiative in the organized laundry services called the Fabric Spa. He won the All India Chartered Accountants Business Achiever Award SME category for 2008, instituted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. His Holiness Vaidyanaraj Swamiji Gokarna Pragatihalli Mutt honored Shri Ullas Kamath by conferring on him the prestigious Konkani Ratna Award at a glittering ceremony held in Mumbai on the 27th of January 2018. Mr. Kamath is also an independent director at V-Guard Industries, Cochin, and co-chair of FICCI, Karnataka State Council. Sir, your profound knowledge and rich experience in your core areas as a professional, mentor, and a role model has inspired us to invite you to share your experience with all of us here, and we are deeply indebted to you for having accepted our invite.
Thank you.
May I kindly request Ms. Kavya, a second-year MBA student, who is a meritorious student and has also won the bronze medal at the Indian Karate Championship 2017 held in Mangalore, to welcome sir with a book which we use as a token of our welcome instead of a bouquet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kavya. Distinguished audience, I consider it my privilege to introduce our host of today's dialogue series event, Sri Vittaldas Leeladhar. Taking a detour from the usual practice of explaining his profile, I would like to present before you an anecdote written by Sri Y.V. Reddy, the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India, in his autobiography, Advice and Dissent, My Life in Public Service. He said, and I quote, "I made inquiries from informed people and decided to request Leeladhar, the then president of the Indian Banks Association, to join me as the deputy governor. I was surprised when he responded by saying that he was comfortable continuing as a commercial banker. He met me and explained that he was working on an important merger proposal. He added that he was not confident about working in the central bank. I did not give up. I rang N. Sisodia, secretary in the Ministry of Finance, with whom I had excellent personal rapport, and that he discussed the matter with Leeladhar and advised him to reconsider and meet me again and convey his final decision. He did come and meet me. I received him in my room, and for some reason I assumed that he would give his consent. I warmly welcomed him and told him that I looked forward to working with him and that we should do well together. He said that he was honored by my offer and accepted it. Leeladhar's strength was his familiarity with the banking industry and with the existing governance in each one of the banks. Having been a long-standing chairman of public sector banks and also the chairman of the Indian Banks Association, he knew about the private sector banks also like the back of his hand. The consolidation of a smaller and weaker banks was a laborious process, required not only knowledge but strategy and tactics, which Leeladhar had displayed in ample measure while maintaining a very low profile. The program of eliminating RNBCs, including Sahara and chit fund linked non-banking finance companies, required a combination of diplomacy and firmness. He knew how to be an effective bridge to reach the goal with minimum disruption to the system. He took forward and shaped the regulations taking systematically important non-deposit NBFCs. He initiated the process of signing MOUs with state governments in regard to urban cooperative banks. Having been an engineer with strong background in banking, he was the right man at the right time for strengthening the RTGS and NEFT systems, setting up state-of-the-art data centers, making effective use of ATMs, and above all, the whole payment settlement system. He led the RBI to the goal of reaching global best standards in banking technology. Sir, we here at MSNM Besant Institute of PG Studies are immensely blessed and fortunate to have you as our mentor. On behalf of the management, staff and students, I extend a very warm welcome to you, sir. May I request Ms. Bhavana, our first year MBA student who has won the silver medal in philately for the Hundis of India under the fiscal stationery category conducted by the Philately Society of India, to kindly welcome Sri V. Leeladhar with a token of our respect. Thank you, Bhavana. I take this opportunity to welcome Sri Manel Annapanayak, who is a very dynamic and far-sighted Vice President of Women's National Education Society. Sir has been instrumental in planning and executing various developmental projects for this institute. His tireless zeal, perseverance, dedication, and bold vision to see this institute grow as one of the top management institutes inspires us all to dream more and achieve more. He is the proud son of late Sri Manel Srinivas Naik, the architect of Besant Institutions. A very hearty welcome to you, sir. A very warm welcome to the esteemed Secretary of Women's National Education Society, Sri Shyam Sundar Kamath, and other Honorable Governing Council members, that's Sri Raghav Kamath sir, Sri Nagar Naran Shonai sir, Sri Suresh Malya sir, and Sri Shyam Bhatt sir. Our institution is led by our esteemed Director, Dr. Narayan Kayarkate. A very warm welcome to you, sir. A pleasant and warm welcome to all my faculty colleagues, staff members, alumni, and students. No function of this magnitude can be deemed successful without the active participation of the audience. The audience for today's dialogue series comprises of students from other institutes of the region, people from the industry, academicians, and business professionals. I extend a very warm welcome to all the audience present here. Thank you. Have a pleasant hearing.
I request Sri Leeladhar to take over.
My personal thanks to you for, I think this is one event where he has responded within seconds to my request. A busy man, you have seen what is happening in the Jyoti laboratories over the period of time. And for such a type of institution leader to be present here, coming all the way from Bombay, was a great thing. And as he keeps on saying, when it is relating to anything connected with students, he is number one to be there to take care of whatever events or whatever inspiration which he has to give. Ullas, we will do this in two parts.
Yep.
The first part will be, I will go on asking you some questions. You can go on, it can be very spontaneous. The whole idea is to give to them an idea of what type of person you are. And then that will give a lot of credibility to the second part, which is you will give an inspirational talk to them, so that when they come up in life, I think this should become one of the memorable events which you will go out with. With this the introduction, we would start the whole program. I would request you to just explain to them what is your family background, which is the place you were born, what is your primary and secondary education was like, and then we will take it forward. Ullas.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, honored to be sitting next to the former Deputy Governor of RBI. Very rare occasion to sit next to him. I'm honored. And most of the times, whenever it comes to student, I've deferred my office meetings. I've changed my board meetings because of students, because students are the future. So it's our obligation, it's our responsibility to share our experience with the students so that our experience will not go along with us. It should go to the next generation. And my effort is, out of 250 people, if 2 people can change their mind from tomorrow onwards, it's worth coming all the way from Bombay. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Now, to talk about myself, I'm the 5th child at home. Father is a surveyor of measuring the land. I was born in Shimoga. Then went most of the places along with my father and with my siblings around Karnataka for studies. So every year, new school, new teacher, new friends, and started from Shimoga, then Beltangdi, then Mangalore, then Karwar, then Belgaum. Then finally, when I was in 9th standard, my elder sister was in degree, and we children decided to settle down in Mysore, and my parents, both of them, they were traveling for work, and he retired now. And at home, I would say that if you see today's classification, probably will fit into the poorest of the poor family background category, because father was earning 350 rupees when he was retiring, and he used to give my mother 100 rupees. I didn't know what he was doing with the balance 250 rupees. But I knew that he was giving my mother 100 rupees, and 35 rupees was to be the rent, and rest of the accounts I used to do. Even though at last at home, I used to do all this writing aspect. So we never had enough at any point in time. And the first time I wore my own footwear given by my uncle was I was in the 8th standard. Till then I didn't have a footwear. And just to put in the perspective, the first time I wore my own pant and shirt is after qualifying as a chartered accountant. Till then, anybody's clothes are okay with me, and I'm a shameless person, then also, now also, and anything is fine with me. And I never stayed at home. I always used to stay in my friend's house because they give some good food, what is not available at home. So no shame about it. You need to be intelligent enough and go to a friend's house and stay till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and then they say, why not have dinner, and go and have dinner and come. That's the way how it works. So I was, as a child, I was kind of, I would say that, unpredictable child. Used to go for anybody's wedding, no need to invite Ullas Kamath, any wedding, anywhere with the friends, I just go and have lunch and come. And excitement, but end of the day you get good food there. So every kind of thing I've done, but what I would say, what I stand out as, I never lost first rank in whichever the exam I ever written in my life. I never lost that. And when I was in the 8th standard, I started earning money. So weekends in Mysore, I used to go to a bangle store, and Saturday, Sunday, I used to work morning till late in the evening, and Saturday, Sunday, 4 weekends I used to work, and I used to get 50 rupees, and that 50 rupees was a big money. If you see, that 50 rupees was equivalent of 50% of my father used to give it home, and that is the money I was earning. And my brother and sister used to say that, why you are going to a bangle store and doing that job? I said, where do you get an opportunity of putting bangles to the girl's hand and get money also? And every weekend, I used to get beautiful hands to put the bangles and get 50 rupees. That's where I started earning money. Then I realized, okay, much more you can do. Then I used to work in a cycle store. Those days, cycles used to be given on hire. So I used to ride that. And that I used to make a little bit money here. And those days, morning, I used to give, along with my friend, milk. Those days, it has come in bottles. And that is the time I realized that the cap on the bottle, aluminum foil, used to fetch more money. So I used to collect that foil from every house and give it. And in the evening, I used to give Star of Mysore in Mysore. So it so happened in Star of Mysore, one day they saw my photograph in some newspaper and they said, this boy is familiar, somewhere we have seen this boy. And the editor, K.V. Ganapathy, called me saying that, are you the same Ullas Kamath who used to put some paper in Saraswatipuram? I said, yes, I am the same person who used to put, and that old man recognized my face. I went to his house, and those are all the things which ordinarily students don't do it. But I was very clear that money is important. Without money, you are nobody. I was very, very clear. And I never depended on my parents or anybody. So earn whenever it's possible, wherever it's possible. Then I realized another trick, that when you come first in class, there's always people who are last in class. And most of the time, they'll be rich people. So you catch them. And nothing is free. So I started coaching people who are coming last in class, that I'll make you to get 80 in the mathematics, I'll get you 90 in English, but my fees is 100 rupees. If you don't get the marks, don't give me the money, on success basis. So I used to have that fun. Never ever I found free time for myself. Always I was busy. So childhood is, I would say that I never had a great childhood to talk about, but I was more like making money, going here, going there, and try to do small things in my life. And to an extent that my name Ullas was kept by a teacher and not by my parents. So when you are a fifth child, you don't even know what's the name. So when I was admitted to the school, and teacher asked what's the name, and my grandmother told that name has not been kept because his father wants to take him to Puttaparthi. So Puttaparthi, to go Puttaparthi, they don't have the money. So I don't know when he'll take him to Puttaparthi. The name is not kept. And the teacher felt that, okay, you keep as a standby name as Ullas, and then we will see. And that day has not come so far to go to Puttaparthi to change my name. So I'm happy with my name. I mean, that's the kind of background which I'm coming from.
Great. I don't know when you became a voracious reader, because you were so busy in other activities, earning money and all that. When did you get time to read, and at what level you started reading?
Education for me, every time my mother, even though she was a second standard studied lady, the wisdom what she had was fantastic. She made all the 5 children well educated without paying a rupee to fees to anybody. So what she used to tell us, that I don't have the money. I have money to feed you 2-3 times a day. That's all what I can do. But I can take you to the good school. I can admit you by paying some fees. But you come first in class. No teacher will take you out. No teacher will take you out. Come first in class, class teacher will pay you a fees. Come first in school, school will pay you the fees. Come first in state, state will pay you the fees. And that trick worked. So every time we go to the class, teacher asks for the fees, then we say no money. My mother has told no money, come first in class. I'm coming first in class. First in class means if there are answer 5 questions out of 6 means I used to write all the 6. You choose what you want. Because I know all the 6. That is the way how it to be. There is nothing that we feel that, oh, that is out of syllabus or this inside syllabus, this I never studied, nothing. Study, write, study, write. In such a way that getting 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, we felt it is mathematics. I mean, how can you not go wrong? 100 out of 100, you should get it. But if they don't want to give it, that's their problem. And we used to fight with the teacher. I have written everything what is there in the textbook. Why are you giving me 95? No, your handwriting is not good. Then what is a good handwriting? No, we used to debate like that with the teacher, saying that tell me why I should not get 100 out of 100. What is that you want me to write which is not there in my answer sheet? Then teacher said that no. In maximum we can give 95 only in English. So start the day with proper study. In the classroom, sit first bench with the paper and the pencil and go along with the teacher's bag to our house, give the bag and then go home. That is the kind of dedication what we had for the teacher. I used to be the monitor, I used to be the captain, and I used to be the most of the PR jobs in the classroom I used to do, because go early in the morning, come late in the evening. So answering your question, those days we didn't have mobile phones, no WhatsApp, and when you're not rich, you don't get many friends also. And what else you do? You only study. And that we collected. And by the way, I'm the least educated at home. My other 4 people are more educated than me.
Okay, I think you prevented one of my questions about mobile. We have a series known as knowledge series, where somebody comes and talks. So I usually go and sit in the last row to see how people are absorbing. Mobile is a real great problem. How can they keep it away from them and listen to somebody who is on the stage and who is not anyway as interesting as the mobile program? What would be your suggestions to them?
People who don't know how to control mobile phone, they can never come up in life because they'll always be controlled by somebody else. Either it is a device or it's the people. I, for one, I have my mobile phone. I'm always online. I always reply as early as possible. But now that I'm into a serious job, that is on flight mode because that's my mobile phone. I can keep it the way how I want. I don't have to be controlled by that. And before coming here, I told my chairman in Bombay that I'll not the next 3 hours. One text message to his secretary, he will have got the message that, okay, Ullas is giving some lecture in Mangalore, so he's not available for 3 hours. That's it. So that is the way you need to be controlled. Productivity in India has drastically come down, especially because of these youngsters on mobile phones. 4 hours per day is the average usage of Indian youngsters aged 15 to 21 is 4 hours per day. That means instead of 24 hours, you have only 20 hours in life on a daily basis. 4 hours is gone for that. So it is sad, but they are all responsible people. They get some thrill out of it. Person B is fighting with C, A is getting the thrill with that because it's there in the social media. So it's bad. I would say that